What's up, guys? My name's Jonathan, this is my Cannon, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cannoneer. Now today we're going to be making a new custom projectile with one of the molds that PCBWay was kind enough to make for us, my channel sponsor. And you guys seem to really like the airgun style projectiles that we've been making for our Cannoneer. So today we're going to be making a Pointy airgun projectile pellet. We've already tested the flat nose Diabolo style. You guys really like that video. I'll link it up here if you guys want to check that out if you missed it. But today we're going to be making the pointy ones, and we'll see how they perform out of our cannon. I'm hoping just as well in a couple of weeks. But before we head on over to the shop and I'll show you how we make our new projectiles and the new mold and everything like that, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and drop down below and hit that subscribe button. I'm sure you guys are going to want to keep up with all the fun stuff that we're going to be shooting with our cannon here, including our revised Foster Slug. I got that part ordered, as well as our new pointy projectiles that'll be coming out in some future videos. And if you guys are maybe interested in sending us a projectile of your own design to test out of the cannon here, all the information for the subscriber shot special will be down in the description as well. And last but not least, I'd like to take just a quick second to thank PCBWay, the sponsor of today's video, and also the people that made the mold for us. If you guys are interested in checking out PCBWay for any of your next projects, they've got an awesome sale going on where they've got some good discounts for you guys on their 3D printing services, including TPU and their regular PLA things. They've also got a free upgrade on purple solder if you're interested in checking out any of their custom circuit boards. They've got all kinds of other cool stuff as well, CNC that we use to make the mold for today, as well as laser engraving, injection molding, and all kinds of other services that you guys might be able to use to bring your project from just a design on a piece of paper to something that you can actually hold in your hands and sell to clients. So if you guys are interested in checking them out, be sure to use my link down in the description. And you can also pick up the molds from PCBWay that we use to make our custom projectiles if you guys are interested in that as well, and all the information will be down in the description. So I'll meet you guys over at the shop in just a second, and we'll start making some of our new projectiles. So first things first, we got to open up our box from PCBWay here. Every time I've ever gotten an order from them, it comes really securely packed. You guys can see all of that foam, my nice PCBWay stickers there. And not only does the box come full of packing material, you can see that each one of our molds here are wrapped up to keep them safe as well. So let me open them up and I'll give you guys a close-up look at how awesome PCBWay's manufacturing is. Now you guys have already heard me mention that my buddy Justin makes these mold designs for me, and then he sends me the files, and then I send them to PCBWay to have them made. So y'all be sure to tell him thank you down in the comments as well. Now Justin was able to reuse the same base from our other Diabolo style pellets. You can see it sitting there on the table. So we've just got the two new sides for the mold to make the pointy part of the pellet there. So let's go ahead and put them together and see how well they fit. And the first side goes on perfectly, clicks right into place. And let's go ahead and add the second one. Now this particular mold design does need to be at an angle to be used, so that way we can ensure that the point fills in properly. There's you guys a nice close-up look, and you can kind of see what we're going with here. It took me some trial and error to figure out the best angle. Let's go ahead and click the second one into place. It took me a second to get the little studs lined up. But you can see how clean, how tight everything fits together. So let's go ahead and start melting some lead and then start pouring some projectiles. So you guys have seen me melt our lead on the shop stove before. So while this is melting, we're going to go ahead and spray our mold down with some new mold release agent. Now the last time that I made some custom projectiles using one of our molds from PCBWay were the Foster Slugs. And I smoked that mold using a citronella candle. And I figured that there's probably a better way to do that, so I got to looking around on the internet, and I found something called dropout spray, which is a graphite-based spray. So I'm going to use that and see how it works on this particular mold as well. But first you got to clean it. Now PCBWay does ship all of their metal products with an oil on it to keep it from rusting during shipping and anything like that. So I've got to wipe that off, and I'm just using some acetone to get all of the oil off so the graphite spray will adhere properly. And this is also going to help remove all of the dust. And once everything's had all of the oil and dust and everything removed off of it, because we are reusing the bottom piece there, I'll take them outside and we'll spray them down and we'll get to making some projectiles. So this is the first time I've ever used a dropout spray. This is what it looks like right there, Franklin Arsenal dropout spray. You give it a really good shake, and then you want to give everything a nice thorough coating. So all the little nooks and crannies are going to be thoroughly covered with the graphite spray so the lead won't stick inside of it. So I gave it a couple of coats. You can see I'm trying to get all the nooks and crannies there. And then you're going to want to let it thoroughly dry for a couple of minutes. It's a little bit shiny, but once it turns matte, you'll be good to go. And this is what they look like when they're dry, with kind of that nice grayish matte black finish. And I almost forgot to preheat the mold, so let me do that before we start pouring these projectiles. And the nice part about having a shop stove is you can just put the mold pieces on another eye while the lead's melting to preheat them. So like I mentioned earlier, Justin did design this mold to be able to reuse the bottom piece of our Diabolo style mold there. So we do have to put this at a little bit of an angle to make sure that everything is going to pour properly and that the point fills in completely. That being said, it took me a little while to figure out the best angle. You guys can see in just a second I've got a little wooden wedge that I've been propping it up with. I'd slide it up and down the wooden wedge. You guys can see it slid down on me. So it took me a little while to figure out the best way to put them, the best angle, and you guys can see I've already got a couple of pellets that I've made there. So let's go ahead and take this particular one out of the mold, super hot. That mold release works incredibly well, but unfortunately that pellet didn't turn out very pretty because it did slide down a little bit and I didn't have it at the right angle. So I kept playing around with the angles until I eventually figured out the best way to do that, and I'll skip forward a little bit so you guys don't have to sit there and endure all of that pain like I did. So this is actually the best angle that I figured out it works at. You put it up on a piece of about 1/2 inch steel, you brace it the other direction with the clamp, and then you can pour the lead straight down in the hole there and it'll fill up the mold entirely for you. So I made a couple more pellets using this technique, and it seems to be the best angle that I've found so far. So let me give you guys a close-up of what they look like when they come out of the mold. So here's a nice close-up of what they look like right out of the mold before we cut the pour sprue off there. So I'm just going to use a pair of metal snippers to snip that off. You can remelt those, which is nice. So I'm going to go ahead and trim all those off. You can see I've got a little bit of an angle there I'm going to have to take care of with the belt sander. So we'll go ahead and snip off all of these little pour sprues, and then we'll take them over to the belt sander and make sure that everything's nice and pointy. So now that we're over here on the belt sander, I'm just going to round them very gently, make sure that everything's nice and uniform. It's pretty easy to do with the little guide there. So just roll them around, make sure that everything comes out nice and pointy, and then we'll go ahead and take care of the rest of these, and then we'll have a bunch of these that we can test out at the range next time we're there. And I know this was one of the designs that you guys had suggested down in the comments, and if it flies anything like the flat-nosed Diabolo style pellet that you guys suggested, I think these things are going to work really well. And I also wanted to let you guys know that my next project with PCB Way is going to be the round nose or the mushroom style pellet. Justin was able to make that one too using the same base, so that'll be the next up because I know you guys really like these airgun style pellet videos, and I think they're really fun designs to test out as well.
Well, guys, that mold works great, and I'm excited to see how they perform out of our cannon here when we get to take them to the range in a couple of weeks. So I appreciate y'all hanging out here till the end. If you guys did enjoy this video, go ahead and hit that like button. It's really going to help us get this video out into the world of YouTube. If you have any questions or anything about our cannon, go ahead and leave me a comment as well, and I'll be happy to answer those for you. Thanks again to PCB Way for making the awesome mold and being kind enough to be one of my longtime channel sponsors. If you guys are interested, be sure to check them out using the links in the description. Once again, guys, my name's Jonathan. This is my cannon. Thank you for hanging out here till the end, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode of The Cannoneer.